38th Pennsylvania Infantry, 9th Pennsylvania Reserves. This unit held their position from July 2nd until the close of the Gettysburg Battle. The bas-relief carving depicts a soldier looking down on the grave of a friend. Entitled "By a Comrade's Grave," it symbolizes the great sacrifices made by the men of the 9th Reserve during the war and is considered to be one of the most moving monuments in the battlefield. Monument number 62, the 83rd Pennsylvania Infantry. The 83rd Pennsylvania Infantry Unit fought with the 20th Maine at Little Round Top, and it suffered many casualties. The unit was attacked by Alabama and Texas forces, and the most tragic was the loss of its commander, Colonel Strong Vincent. The Pennsylvania States Monuments Commission refused to allow any personal statement or inscription on any memorial built under their supervision. However, the statue on the top of the monument represents a Union officer, and nothing is carved as to the identity of the soldier, but it's a likeness of Colonel Vincent. Statue number 63, Father Corby. The statue of Father William Corby represents just one of the hundreds of chaplains present at Gettysburg. Father Corby served as chaplain for the Irish Brigade in the New York Infantry. When the unit was going into battle on July 2nd, Father Corby asked permission to speak to the soldiers. He went to the front of the column, raised his right hand, and he called upon God to grant them courage and then pronounced general absolution. After the war, he served 2 terms as president of Notre Dame. Monument number 64, New York Auxiliary. The New York Battlefield Monuments Commission decided to honor New Yorkers from the rank of major to major generals who fought at Gettysburg. New York had 19 native-born serving as general officers at the Battle of Gettysburg, but there were only 8 statues in their honor. Dedicated on September 9, 1925, the monument contains the names and commands of each of the 41 officers who fought at Gettysburg. At the dedication, over 100 Civil War veterans were in attendance. 2/3 of them fought at Gettysburg. Statue number 65, General George G. Meade. General Meade assumed command of the Army 2 days before the battle and was the victorious commander. Notice that the statue depicts him bareheaded, just as he was on the battlefield. Meade was also successful in leading the Army for the next 2 years. However, he was overshadowed by General Ulysses S. Grant, who was General-in-Chief of the Union forces. This statue is approximately 0.8 of a mile across from his adversary, Robert E. Lee, atop the Virginia State Memorial. It is fitting that the 2 opponents face each other across the field that their armies fought in. Monument number 66, Battery K, 1st New York Artillery. On July 3rd, 138 Confederate cannons bombarded the center of the Union position. Battery K, 1st New York Artillery, was called up and responded by firing nearly 90 shells at the enemy. The monument features a bronze plaque revealing a field piece being fired. The piece being fired is an ordnance rifle rather than a Napoleon cannon. The 4 gunners shown on the plaque demonstrate how the cannon was fired by a 4-man crew. Monument number 67, the 20th Massachusetts Infantry. Among the monuments at the Gettysburg battlefield, the monument to the 20th Massachusetts Infantry stands out for its simplicity. Most of the men recruited that formed the unit came from Roxbury, Massachusetts. For years, a large boulder was a landmark on a popular playground in Roxbury. The 18-ton rock was transported to Gettysburg with the notion that the men who fought bravely here once played near the boulder. One of the casualties from this unit was Paul Joseph Revere, the grandson of the famous writer of the Revolutionary War. Colonel Revere was killed by shell fire of the evening of July 2nd. Another casualty of the battle was an 18-year-old lieutenant, Summer Payne. At Pickett's charge, Payne was struck in the leg, but still urged his men on. Another shell struck Payne and killed him instantly. Monument number 68, 39th New York Infantry, Garibaldi Guards. The Union Defense Committee of New York authorized the raising of a regiment of European immigrants to fight in the war. Germans, Italians, Swiss, French, and Hungarians made up the crux of the regiment. The nickname of the unit was the Garibaldi Guards, named after the Italian revolutionary Giuseppe Garibaldi. A second marker near the United States Avenue is a marker where the unit recaptured a Union battery on the evening of July 2nd. Monument number 69, the Vermont State Monument. Vermont was the first to build a state memorial to honor the men who fought in the battle from their state. The 50-foot-high column is topped by an 11-foot statue of General Stannard. Sculpting the statue was difficult as there was no photograph of the general. However, it is believed to be accurate, since it depicts the general with his right arm missing, as it occurred in the battle at the Wilderness. Monument number 70, the 13th Vermont Infantry. This monument is unique, as the portrait statue on top is that of a junior officer, Lieutenant Stephen F. Brown. Because of an incident, Lieutenant Brown lost his sword. When the Confederate troops were approaching during Pickett's charge, Brown ran into the fray carrying a camp hatchet. He accosted a Confederate officer and threatened him with the hatchet. The Confederate officer was so startled, he turned in his sword and pistol. The design committee did not approve of the use of a camp hatchet on the statue, so it stands as it is today. Keep in mind that we've shown only a small portion of the monuments and statues at Gettysburg. We believe that in order to fully appreciate and understand the magnitude of what Gettysburg National Park stands for, a visit is highly recommended. Keep in mind also that whenever you see a statue or monument, either at Gettysburg or anywhere else in the world, it has a great biography and a story with a rich legacy behind it that needs to be told.